Yes.
Yes.
All right, thanks everybody. We've started recording.
Wonderful. Welcome everyone and good afternoon. It's exciting to have you all join us today for our, I guess this is our third brown bag of the spring 2022 semester. My name is Marilyn Loyola. I'm an associate professor of Spanish here at Rockford University. And it is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Cathy Headley, associate professor of kinesiology, joined Rockford University in the fall of 2019 as associate professor. She completed her undergraduate degree at Lakeland College in Sheboygan, Wisconsin in 1984 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in recreation administration and a minor in coaching and administration. She received her Master of Sports Science degree in fitness management from the United States Sports Academy in Mobile, Alabama in 1985. Dr. Headley received her Master of Science in Health Service Administration from the University of St. Francis in 1997. Her PhD in leisure behavior was awarded from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign in 2009 with the dissertation, Examination of N-Balance, a community-based fall prevention intervention for older adults. Dr. Headley is a current board member of the International Women's Baseball Center and has worked in mental health and higher education. She enjoys working with people, spending time with family, and loves the Chicago Cubs. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Cathy Headley.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marilyn. I appreciate that. So welcome, happy birthday, Title IX. It is Title IX's 50th birthday. It marks the year of the passage of Title IX of the Education Amendment of 1972, which was a landmark piece of legislation for gender equity. Title IX is probably the most important law passed for women and girls in Congress since women obtained the right to vote in 1920, which tomorrow is National Women's Month. Happy National Women's Month. The godmother of Title IX, Bernice Sandler, said this: "It's a law that ensures that all education programs and activities receiving federal funding must protect students and employees from sex-based discrimination, and it also bans many aspects of gender inequality that has been previously tolerated or overlooked in education." So here's what we're going to do. So if you happen to be into social media, because it's the anniversary of Title IX, I'd like you to use the hashtag Title IX 50. That's what everybody is using out there on any of their social media platforms. So it is on every one of these PowerPoints. All right, so hopefully this is what we're going to do. We are going to have a little warm up. We're going to have, I've kind of changed this around a little bit, but I did a little mini survey that I want to talk about. We'll have a discussion, we'll have an activity. So to start us off, we're going to play Kahoot. Can everybody see the Kahoot? Please tell me yes or no, because I do not see you. Thank you. So here's what you're going to do. I am going to start it. You can just go to www.kahoot.it and put in that game pin. You can take a picture of the QR code, which is on the top right, and it'll take you right to the game. Or you can, if you have the Kahoot app, you need to put in the game pin. Can you guys get into it? Gotcha. Thank you, Jill. You have a minute. It's okay.
Do I have to start a free trial?
No, you should just be able to click into it.
Kath, I was able to just click in, like you just click on,
Yep.
I'm online. I clicked on play. Okay.
But I have to put in a nickname?
Yes.
Apparently? Okay.
Give us a fun nickname. 1, 2, 3,
Oh, well,
3, 6,
I didn't do a
9,
fun nickname.
50.
Yeah, I'm not doing a fun one.
Wait, so we know who Jen is. Is that what you're saying?
Apparently
Wait.
so.
Who said go Brewers? Wait a second here.
Oh, I know who
Oh,
that is.
I know who it.
It was not me.
I'm
I'm
sorry,
Tina.
I
It's the
don't-
dog.
I'm sorry, this is Pat. I have no idea how to join this game.
Pat, are you on your computer right now?
Yes,
So can you go to www.kahoot.it?
oh.
Put that
okay.
on in the chat or what? How do we do that?
Oh.
Oh, I
Kathy,
should
how
have
do-
opened another screen then, huh, before
Yeah.
the meeting started?
Yeah, you have to open a separate window.
I see.
Okay, I'm not sure how to do that.
It might be a little easier for people to download the app on their phone because trying to run a Kahoot and a Zoom on your computer, you might have some lag issues.
Mm.
All right, I'm trying to, I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay.
Well, I was trying to, type in the code. Okay.
I just put it in the chat.
Yeah, I
the-
just put, go
Just
ahead.
put it in the
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah, just go the website to go to, and then the code that you type in when it gives you the
Okay, I
opportunity to
see
do
it
that.
here, www.kahoot.it.
I see.
Correct.
All right, let's see. Somebody put it
Dr.
in, there, but I'm not sure if I can click on it. It's not letting me click on it. I don't know.
You can always just follow along too.
I don't know. Let me
There it
see.
is right there if you want to click on it. All right. Dr. Perry, did you sign in? Huh.
Ooh, who's my favorite catcher?
Oh, yeah, duh. I did know that. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Pat, did you find it? There, it's in the chat.
Okay, I'm typing the Kahoot into the chat.
I'll try
And
that.
then what, well, then what do I do?
You just need to click on in the chat. I posted the link. So you just click on that. It'll take you to the Kahoot page. And then you'll put this game pin number in, which is the one that Marilyn put in.
Kahoot page. Yes, a game number. Then what do I do?
Just below it is the link.
I don't see the link. I see a
Oh,
game pin.
Hey, do you see the above your post? Do you see a link that Kathy posted?
Oh, okay. Now I see it. All right. It's going around, so hopefully it'll, okay. It's
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Okay, now what do I do? Log in or sign up?
just it
You
should
can
be
skip
game
that.
pin.
It says log in to save results. Continue as a guest.
Just continue as a guest.
All
oh,
right. Now it says got it. Okay. All right. Okay, see classic mode or T mode?
You're not in the right one. I'll
No,
just,
I'm
hey, Pat, why don't you just tell us, write the answers down in the chat, okay, as we go through the game. As I'll just
Okay.
start.
I'm
right.
typing a login now, so we'll see if that works.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. You're going to choose the correct response. Title IX applies only to sports. True or false? True or false? All right, here comes your response. Good, all right. It is false. As we go through this, it is academics, athletics, as well as workplace. All right, here we go. TS is on the move. Geo's right behind. Second question. The year Title IX was enacted, 1970, 1972, 1872, or 2009?
Wait a minute, how can everybody not be tied if they got the first one right?
It depends on how quick they are.
Oh, there's a speed
Yep.
factor. Didn't
There's
know
a-
that.
oops.
Okay, good to know.
So it was 1972. So Annie B is up 3 places. Geo is up. Okay, Jen is next. So it's how quick you respond.
Got
Next
it.
question. Title IX only applies to women. It's a yes or no. True or
Crap,
false?
it's the wrong one. No, take it back.
I hit the wrong one too, Kath, because I expected it to
Yes.
be in the same place.
I know the answer to this. That's unfair.
Title IX does not only apply to women.
I know that.
RSW.
Yes.
And Joanna's on the move. All
That's
right, next
rude.
question. What is Title IX? It forbids guy playing girl sports, forbids girl playing guy sports, allows anyone to play any sport, forbids discrimination by sex. And the winner is forbids discrimination by sex. Well done, 100%. Let's see, any changes? Oh, we've got a little changes here.
Oh my God.
Next. The Title IX girls to play boys on teams Title IX is allowed to play girls on boys teams. True under any circumstance, false, true only if there's no girls team. All right, it is true only if there's no girls team. So Title IX is for everyone, but if there's no girls team, then they can play on the boys team. Let's see. Oh, ooh, look at coming from behind, Brewers. Final question. This is worth double points. Who are the Title IX Rockford University administrators? Rang Warden, Monique DeVenti, Elaine Sharp, Jess Stanek, Dr. Fulcomer, Professor Sheik, Lang Wellness Center. They just gave us 20 seconds. Thank you. Now, did you all know that? Or did
Apparently
you guess?
so.
Did you guess well? All right, let's see what our podium looks like. All right, number 3, Geo. Number 2, Annie B. Number 1 is Go Brewers. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. So thank you. That was just a fun game. Well done, everyone. So let's go back. Let's go back to our activities here. So as I noted before, you can always go on. Now we're going to go through and talk about some of the questions and some of the responses that you got, but I'd like to talk about where would we be without Title IX? So to start off with this, let's talk a little bit about history. And if you happen to attend the Founders Day convocation, Charles Barnum, he just was such a great storyteller. I so appreciated when he talked about how even back in the 1800s, when Anna Paxil came to this area and opened up Rockford University, she actually was one that instituted women in education. So when she was born, most American girls were taught only the rudiments of learning. When they did manage to master the classic languages necessary, they were denied entrance because of sex. Throughout the rest of her life, whether teaching or administering at Rockford Female Seminary, she battled against poverty, ill health, and obscurantism to overcome sexual barriers. In 1849, she was invited to open up a girls' school in Rockford. It was the hope of Rockford citizens that this school would grow into a female seminary that for which the Society of the Promotion of Collegiate and Theological Education in the West. She was the principal of Rockford Female Seminary, and I promise you I'm not the expert in this. Joanna Melodic is, but I learned a lot from Joanna. But she also, in my passion, is wellness, and she brings up a lot about that passion. So nonetheless, she maintained high academic standards, made the school a leader in women's education in the Midwest. So she was the first person In June of 1972, Congress passed what was called Title IX. And Representative Patsy Mink, who was a Democrat from Hawaii, was the first Asian American woman to serve the Congress and the first woman of color to be elected into the House of Representatives. She was the lead author and sponsor. In 1979, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Geraldine Cannon, who was denied admission at the University of Chicago. This is where the decision granted individuals the right to sue education because of Title IX. Just to kind of go through, I'm not going to go through all of this. One that I use is February 1992. The Supreme Court ruled that Title IX complainants can seek monetary damages. And that was the Franklin and Gwinnett County Public Schools. Oh, there was one more I was going to say. I don't remember what it was, but anyway. So in academics, it is very important, and we have many, many great people that walked before us to open the doors so that women as well as underserved people can go to college. Now the NCAA, Amy Wilson, who is the managing director of the NCAA Office of Inclusion, she said that Title IX is turning 50 years old. We're taking the opportunity to celebrate, motivate, encourage, and support women engaged in improving equity for all. While progress is being made across intercollegiate athletics, including championships, the journey isn't over. And we saw some of those stories a year ago kind of be brought to the surface with regard to the basketball, the women's championship basketball and the men's championship basketball. Title IX is part of the Education Amendments of 1972, was signed into law on June 23rd. And students no person in the United States shall be, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity that receives federal funding. We also note that in workplaces, it is not just students that are covered under Title IX. We will go into the next one, or when we get into the administrators, we'll talk more about that. But what's important to know is in the workplace, we talk about harassment. It includes sexual harassment, sexual assault, and we have a Title IX coordinator who happens to be here, Randy Warden. Wave to everybody if they can see you, but it's okay. But they actually process cases that students are involved in. And Monique DeVenti, who is our human resources director, she also does this on the faculty staff side. But we don't know where we would be. What I did was I actually just did a little quasi survey with my students. I did PHYE 102, 104, 203, 312, 512, and 495. And I asked them a series of questions, some of them which are questions you responded to as well. But when I asked them the questions, I just kind of wanted to know, what did they know? And based on that, like, who do they know? Things like that. So I asked them to define Title IX, and I made a word cloud out of this. That was kind of interesting. There were 62 respondents. And in this word cloud that you see on the right here, I just did all the words. I thought it was kind of interesting. Certain words came up more often than other words. We saw equality, equal rights, civil rights. And so when you experience certain things on campus, on school, you can report it. Some of the things, it's federal civil rights. It's a law that defends against discrimination. So I felt pretty good that students had an understanding of what Title IX was. Now, did they think Title IX was for academics, athletics, workplace? In the field of kinesiology, the majority of our students did definitely think it was in athletics, but many of them did respond well to the questions. I asked them to define diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And I share with you some of their thoughts of that. And I felt some of these were worthy of a just that your awareness. But you can see in the basketball over here, you know, everyone's welcome, treated fairly was often, people are comfortable. Everyone, no matter race status, gets a fair and equal chance. But there was a couple quotes I wanted to bring up. Everyone, no matter of race status, gets a fair and equal chance. It's a mixture of different people, styles, and ethnicity. And this last quote just blessed my heart in a way. It sounds like the morals of a great university that cares about their students. I felt really good when a student, and I don't know, again, the students just did it. They didn't tell me their names. It was just anonymous. But I thought for someone to feel comfortable like that, where, you know, it's a great university that cares about our students, I believe that that is who we are. And my question to you is, what do you think about diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging? How do you see that, whether it's at your workplace or at your, when you go to the store? Anyone have experience with diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging? I think everyone here is a different culture. Yes, Catherine.
When I first moved here, the first year I lived here, I lived down on the river, right across from Sinisippi Park. And I walked over there a lot. And one of the things that struck me, like the first time I walked over there, was how many mixed race and mixed ethnicity couples and family groups I saw walking out on the path. Which, I mean, I was coming from northeastern Pennsylvania, where that was not something you saw much at all, and 20 years before that in St. Louis, and that wasn't something you saw very often. It's not something you never saw, but it wasn't very common. And I swear the first time I went out for a walk, I saw like maybe 2 interracial couples and a couple family groups of people who were clearly different ethnicities. And I just thought, wow, that's a pretty cool thing. This must be a good place to live. So that was one of my earliest impressions of Rockford.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Anyone else?
You know, that's interesting, Catherine. This is Faye Marcus, because I've heard from other people that that's not the impression that they had of Rockford when they first moved here. And this is from people of color, Black people, who felt that Rockford was very segregated. So
Well,
that's an interesting, you know, observation that you had, Catherine.
well, I was in a public park, you know, walking. And so, you know, you see a certain group of people there. I would say that when it comes to neighborhoods, that may be more true. And when that year, that would have been like the fall of 2000. I moved here in July of 2000. So the summer and fall of 2000. So it's been a long time, and I still feel that way whenever I'm out in public settings. But I suspect in other venues, it's maybe not as mixed as it could or should be. Maybe.
This is Jen Langworthy. I can offer an observation about campus life from the time of being a student myself, an undergrad at then Rockford College between 87 and 91, and then coming back in 2003. I noticed right away that, and very happy to notice that there were more students of color and more international students when I came back as a faculty member. when I went here as an undergrad. I mean, I know we still have a lot of ground, a long way to go to be more diverse, but it was a huge change from when I was a student here to today. And, I don't know, I love it when I look out into the last time I taught first year SEM, it was literally half of my students were students of color and half were white. And it was awesome. So I'll just offer that up.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's move on a little. So who are the Title IX administrators? It is Randy Warden, Monique DeVenti, Elaine Sharp, and Jess Stanek. And interestingly, my question to the students, the majority of them didn't know who it was. Most of them thought it was me, which I kind of, because we're doing things on campus with regard to Title IX in my classes. And again, it's a very biased study, okay? It was only students in my class. So that would probably be why, but they thought also the Department of Kinesiology. I did have a couple that knew it was the four of you. And so I thought it was kind of interesting. But what I wanted to do is when I talked to Dr. Warden today, I asked him, things to share. And so if you haven't gone to the website, I think it's a great website. So this poster is on the site. Now, can you see you can see the website, right?
Mhm.
When you go to the You Are Not Alone, it's a brochure. It's not just a picture. And it talks about exactly what the university will do and what the Title IX coordinators are here to support anyone that has ever had an experience with a Title IX issue, sexual harassment, sexual assault, dating violence, and students receive student type, same kind of training that faculty and staff receive for the Title IX or sexual harassment training. But I'm not going to go through this, but just so you know, at the very end of it are great resources that you can go to, who to contact on campus, who to contact for counseling and off campus. Oh, I would say that I did have some students that said the Lang Wellness Center was the Title IX coordinators. And I thought that was at least good. There's a connection I see across campus, but there are places for you to go to. So Dr. Warden, did you want to say anything more about that? I'm good if you don't, but.
Yeah, I would just encourage you to maybe, bookmark this on your browser. That way, if you're ever into a conversation with a student, you can just click and get there right away. There's no delay or anything. And then as you have time, maybe just familiarize yourself with the various sections. I mean, there's everything from how to help a friend to what student life's responses are to where you can go to look at the full policy as dictated by the Department of Education. And so there's just a lot of things on there. And so maybe bookmarking that on your browser will help you get there a little bit faster should you need it at some point.
Thank you. Thank you. I believe strongly that, and what I appreciated what the students' responses was about safety, was about making sure that everyone is taken care of. So my next question was, how does Title IX impact you? And again, this was a quasi experiment. So this was not like a real, this is just asking questions. So I can't tell you there was more men than women that responded, but I loved this. And it was neat because if it didn't impact the student, it impacted their sisters. It helped my sisters, allows women to pursue their dreams. I like seeing people come together, makes things equal. Educators, my future students, helps bring equity to the world and make sure my pay, my workloads and everything is equal, kind of like that. And I know, obviously this was a man, play men's volleyball. Again, there's when you think about Title IX, it is equity. And so if there's enough men and women? Can you have a sport for men and not for women, or more? So it was neat that one of the students said that they can play men's volleyball. How, and my question to you now is, how has Title IX impacted you? I know I should ask, has it impacted you? And if so, how? But I want to know how it has, because all of us are men, women, faculty, staff, students. It's influenced us, it's impacted us. Yes, Anne.
Well, I'm going to be dating myself here, but I was in junior high when it first came to be. And I was an athlete even back then. And just the idea that I would have more opportunities to participate in athletics from junior high, high school on up to college. And just the whole concept was new, and it was exciting to be a young athlete, female athlete, and have them put together legislation that supported me as a female athlete. So I've been aware of it from the beginning, but and I know it's grown and developed more, but for, as I said, for a young female athlete, it was real exciting.
Thank you.
I'm
Catherine.
just looking at the equal pay thing. You know, AUW has been working on equal pay for over 100 years. You know, we still don't have it all figured out yet. So that's an aspiration, not a reality yet.
Yes, good.
Kathy, just
Thank
a
you.
quick note. Marcy's on the
I'm
board of
sorry.
trustees. Yeah, she's on the board of trustees. She was just asking. She's not familiar. She's familiar with the first three on the Title IX team, but is not familiar with who Jess is.
Oh, okay. Jess Stanek is.
I answered
Go
her
ahead.
question.
Oh, you did.
I didn't
Okay.
see that.
Sorry, I can't see the chat. Okay, thank
And
you.
I can't see Randy's response. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Catherine.
Well, I would say every female professor here possibly owes the existence of our jobs to the fact that Title IX helped open up higher ed for us to be not only students, but more importantly, to become professors. So I think that's something we all, I mean, it's not the only thing that made it possible, but it sure as heck helped.
Thank you. Thank you. So this one was just a query to the students. Did the students have experience with Title IX? And it was interesting, you know, the majority of them said they didn't have experience with Title IX. Some said yes. I was most appreciative that some realized that potentially our community-based learning projects were Title IX based. We worked at Bayer Stadium, or they helped out. So I thought that was just kind of interesting comments from them. So question 6 goes into, what would you like to know about Title IX? So my question to all of you is, and I sort of want to break out, but I don't want to lose everyone. Would you guys be willing to break out for like a few minutes and answer a couple questions if I post them in the chat? Okay, then I'm going to do that. I'm going to create breakout. Well, how am I going to give you the chat?
We might be okay just as a whole group.
I can do that. I can do that because I will go back to the picture. But so my first question to everyone is, have you ever had an experience with Title IX issues? Like, was it a positive experience? Was it a negative experience? And if you did, what did you do about those issues? So where did you go, for example? For example, I was at, when I was at a previous job a long time ago, I don't want to say a long time ago, but a while ago, we had to go see some state representatives. And I never knew really about Title IX or Title IX issues. So when I went, it was a male state representative, and he just kept making me feel very uncomfortable. And I can honestly say I didn't know what to do with it. So I just kind of stepped back. But so it does occur. So that was kind of negative, and I wish I had known what to do. I'm sure my sassy self would have liked to have done something, but has anyone had an experience?
I think the tricky part of the question is that it can be very personal, right?
Yes.
So a lot of
Mhm.
people may not want to share, but a lot of us have also been in contact with students who have faced issues and have gone through the, routes recommended for addressing Title IX issues.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
a particular kind of role.
So one of my
Yeah.
questions is, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just kind of confirm what Marlene was stating, that as faculty, sometimes students, feel like they know you well enough to reveal something like that a Title IX case that is happening for them. And I think one thing as a faculty member that is difficult, like, you understand you can only know what you can know, and that you are playing a limited role and all that, but you just want to support the students so much. And that's a really tricky, difficult position to be in sometimes.
Yes.
One of the things that's really difficult when students come and want to talk through some of these issues is that as it's prescribed by the Department of Education and the Office of Civil Rights, there's some very narrow parameters that we're allowed to operate in, and the process gets to be very formal. And for a lot of our students, that makes them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The idea of having to go through all of the formality that the Department of Education requires feels a little daunting to them. Now, if they're very frustrated or very angry or very hurt, sometimes they will still do that. But for a good portion of our students who have, maybe a more of a, it feels weird to call things, a small issue, a medium issue, or a large issue. But for those students whose concerns or their frustrations are on the lower end of the scale, the formality of the process just sometimes feels daunting, and they don't want to follow through on it. They just kind of want to express themselves, whether that's informally to a faculty member or somebody they're close to, or sometimes even in my office. And then they don't want to really go any further than that. They just kind of want to have somebody know what they experienced.
Yeah. 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 So some of the things that like students themselves just want to know more. So they kept saying, I asked them this question, what would you like to know? And some of them just said, I want to know more. How does it work today as compared to how it worked before? They wanted to know more about the history of Title IX. Mary, this is probably more for Angela, right? And I think, and what does it do? And generally, without Title IX, where would we be with equal rights? Which I think is a great question. And that what steps are there? So as we're looking at, and I think this is a great community to start a conversation, to maybe begin to problem solve on how we can help our own communities understand Title IX better and use it for good, or use it in a positive way. I think is going to be very valuable. Here's some of the things that we have going on that we're doing. And I know some of you are on, we have a committee to celebrate Title IX because it is Title IX's birthday. We have a couple things coming up. We've got February 5th, we had National Girls and Women's in Sports Day, which was at a women's basketball game. So that's passed already. On March 31st, we're having a celebration festival, and that's going to be at Regents Hall from 11 to 1. March 31st, we're going to have a celebration of Title IX panel with Maybelle Blair and Shirley Berkovich, who are retired All-American Girls Professional Baseball League players. So they will be here. They're going to have dinner, and then they're going to do a panel and a reception afterwards. April 2nd, we're having a welcome to the neighborhood carnival over at Beyer Field, which is, if you see my background, is the Peaches Stadium. So this is, I'm excited for it. These are things that a group of people came together. You know, we have the AAUW, Rockford University, the International Women's Baseball Center, Rockford Park District, Jane Addams Center. Did I forget anybody? I can't think.
I think you're right.
But we came together and what's that?
And Kathy, one correction, the celebration's on the 30th.
Oh, you're right. Well, don't
yes.
don't tell anybody, but I have a few typos on here, so it's really embarrassing. So I'd like to get off of this one.
So it's kind of like a week of things.
Yeah. So March 30th is the celebration. It's Wednesday, March 30th. I apologize. But some of the other things that we want to do is one of the things that someone had come up with that, and this is why I bring up Angela. But the Jane Addams Center is we're creating tabletops over in the cafeteria for just some information on Title IX. We really want to immerse the campus on it with social media, with the portal, things like that. So people become aware that Title IX is workplace. It is academics. It is athletics. It's not one single piece, but we are all a community together. And this is what diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is. So anyway, thank you very much for your time. This was supposed to sing a song for happy birthday, but it would have gone on every one of the slides. So I didn't do it. Do you have what questions do you have? How can we improve our communication as a community for Title IX?
Just a couple of comments. The women's soccer team would not have won $24 million suit if not for Title IX. And
yes,
just
the United
that's
States
all about
women's soccer.
Title IX.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Patsy Mink, by the way, was an AUW member. And that's how AUW got so involved in Title IX and helping to pass that bill.
Thank you.
I would like to see a little more training of faculty and staff on Title IX.
So just that computer-based training isn't enough, you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah, it feels
I would agree.
like workshops of some kind, case studies, that kind of thing, or like cases that we can workshop together and kind of practice. What do you do now? And what are some sound approaches? How to respond to students when they come to you directly? How do you support students when they don't come to you directly, but you know of it from a faculty member because you're associated with what the student does or something like that?
Yeah, I would agree with both of you. Unfortunately, I understand why institutions turn to those computer module-based training, but I honestly don't think that does anything or does much.
Okay.
I still have a question just about from the student's angle, from the student's perspective. Vice President Warden, when you said that some students kind of choose not to go forward with the process, is there anything that the institution can do to make those students who are on the verge of, I'm not going to pursue this, through the formal process? What is something that the institution can do to facilitate that, or to make it appear more accessible or more of a process that will listen to them or something like that? I'm not sure exactly if that's the issue, but what are some, is it just like it's an issue, we just accept it, or is there something that we're doing actively or that we can do actively to lessen that hesitation they might have?
I think the issue that students are having now, because I would say that our Title IX cases have probably dropped by like 75 or 80%. since the summer of 2020. Obviously, some of that could be related to pandemic and people had a lot less proximity to each other, especially early on in the pandemic. But I think a bigger portion of that is the added formality that was added to the process in the summer of 2020. There was about 1,000 pages of regulations and arguments that were sent forth by the DOE that summer. And then that all was, schools were required to operationalize all that by the middle of August in 2020. And part of that is a very formal process that allows cross-examination and allows full disclosure. And those were things that were not necessarily guaranteed as part of the process prior to 2020. But they decided that the right to confront your accuser is a kind of US standard. And that was not part of the standard for Title IX investigations prior to the summer of 2020. And once they added that, I think that's probably the largest hurdle for a lot of people, because if you've accused someone and you know that you're going to have to go through cross-examination by that person as to what happened in the situation, some people don't want to go back through that again. And so I think that has led to a significant drop in the number of formal Title IX investigations that we've done. And I think I don't see a clear way through that, because if I was to put myself in the shoes of somebody who'd been through one of those very traumatic experiences, I don't know that I would want to, relive it in a formal hearing with a panel of decision makers being cross-examined by the person that I was assaulted by or abused by. I mean, that could feel really daunting, I think.
I saw the comment, Faye, that you made about Betsy DeVos, and yeah, she did certainly direct those changes. I wonder if now that we're, under Biden, if there's any way to lobby. I mean, I fundamentally agree that, both sides in any Title IX case should have their rights protected, right? But I don't know. I wonder if there's a way to lobby Washington, if there's any organizations working to lobby Washington to reverse some of that extra complication.
I'm on a state public policy committee, and I'll be talking with them about this, to what we can do to reverse some of those processes that have made things much more difficult for students.
It's a really difficult environment. I mean, part of what you had was you've had a pendulum swing back and forth at least twice since 2011.
Mm-hmm.
In 2011, when the Obama administration put out their first bit of guidance, it swung very far towards victims' rights because people felt for so long victims were not heard. Well, then between 2011 and 2019, there emerged all these cases where the accused felt like their rights were not heard, and so now the pendulum has swung back in that direction. And so hopefully at some point we can arrive in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Any other thoughts or comments or questions? Sorry, were you going to say something?
Students go through similar trainings to what faculty and staff go through, or are theirs more workshop based, like, hands-on, or like, real cases that they can look at and examine, that kind of thing? Or is it also online training?
The majority of students go through the online training. With some of our student leaders, we do more discussion-based training and talk about, some real life examples and things like that. But the majority of students go through the the student version of the online training.
That might be a good area if we're going to work on redoing or reshaping the training for faculty and staff. Maybe doing that with students would like, you know, if it's at all possible, kind of demystify that formal process stuff so that it doesn't seem as inaccessible and threatening in some way, I guess.
Yeah.
I know it's delicate, but.
Yeah, the hard part right now is that the Biden administration has committed to a review of the existing policy, but the Trump administration went through the process of actually codifying this, and so it's actually law now. Whereas under the Obama administration, it was simply guidance because it was just issued by executive order. Whereas the Trump administration and Betsy DeVos, they went through the whole process of codifying this, and so it will take longer to change because it's gone through that process. And the hardest part for me is there's two real strict limitations. One is it doesn't allow for third-party accusations. So if a student tells me something happened and they decide not to do anything about it, it expressly forbids third-party accusations. The only circumventing of that is should the institution feel like the instance was so egregious that they decide to do something about it. And the only way that has really manifested so far is if people find themselves with repeat offenders. And we haven't had that situation on our campus. And so that idea, or that whole situation where they expressly forbid third-party accusations and third-party investigations is very limiting at this point.
A student would always have, you know, if the accusation is that an actual law has been broken, right? If it's very serious, the student always has the right, of course, to go to the police department if they choose, right? Like if they don't want to go through the Title IX processes, can they go straight to the police department?
Most definitely. And that's, you know, one of the things that we advised them of very early on in the process is that we would be more than happy to help them with a report, help them with a restraining order, help them with whatever they might want. And we have contacts over in RPD that we know to kind of send those folks to and kind of be the bridge on that.
Yeah.
But it's rare that students do that. I think coming up on the end of 4 years that I've been here, I've had one student do that.
Yeah. I know either way now, you know, whether they go through the on campus or they go through the police and the courts, it's going to be a daunting experience no matter what.
It is. I think that, you know, if I was advising, you know, my own child on how to do this, I almost would push them towards the legal process because the new Title IX process so closely mirrors that anyway. At least that way they only have to do it one time.
Yeah, good point.
Other questions or otherwise what I did was I just put it back up, the what we've got going on this semester. If you'd like to, I did change the date. If you'd like to put it on your calendars, we will be sending out notifications. But any questions or comments for me or any other information, anything we can take back? I think I'm so grateful that Vice President Warden was here because I think that helps. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy, so much. This is a fascinating and such an important presentation. And thank you all for joining us this afternoon.
Cathy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Orhan. Did you have a question, Orhan? Oh, there you are.
No, I said thank you.
Oh, thank you for jumping in.
And with that, we'll conclude the recording.